and I would have died in that condition, because I was then certainly a true believer and would have gone to paradise. But in the present circumstances, when you want me to participate in this matter, I do not know whether I am destined to go to paradise or hell, and whether or not I can preserve my faith." Umar was very much annoyed on hearing these words and cast on Bilal a harsh, angry look full of scorn. After a few moments he got up and went away much agitated. All the plans of the administration of the caliphate for making Bilal surrender were frustrated, and it could not cause the slightest damage to his firm determination. He persevered fearlessly, did not listen to the promises made with him, remained undaunted in the face of threats, and did not surrender. In view of the stand taken by Bilal and the sensitiveness that had been created in the society owing to his refusing to take the oath of allegiance to Abu Bakr, the administration of the caliphate drew its last plan to punish him. As it was feared that some people might join him and trouble might increase, one of those present suggested that it would be better if Bilal was exiled from Medina to a place distant from the capital, so that by this means the hue and cry might come to an end and the people might forget him. However, the advisors of the caliph said, "If we exile him openly, we shall be blamed more. It is possible that Imam Ali may object to it. In that event our action will produce a result contrary to that desired by us. It will, therefore, be better if he is subjected to threats and torture so that he may be compelled to leave Medina of his own free will." This scheme was approved by the majority vote, and accordingly Bilal was tortured during day and night and subjected to threats of death. At last, he received a message on these lines: "Either you should swear allegiance to Abu Bakr and say Adhan, or quit Medina." Some historians have written thus: Umar said to Bilal, "Now that you do not say Adhan, you should not remain in Medina so that you may not become the cause of corruption of others," and he subjected Bilal to pressure. Thus, the spokesman of the movement of Islam was placed in a strange predicament. On the one hand, it was difficult for him to forsake the city of the Prophet, and on the other hand it had also become impossible for him to stay there. He pondered as to whether he should stay on in Medina or resist the pressure. After all, how could he abandon Medina, the tomb of the Holy Prophet, his master, as it was the city of his friend with many remembrances? However, he was obliged to prefer going away from there so that possibly he might persuade the people more to think about the current and unsatisfactory affairs, and they might resort to objection, criticism, and occasionally disobedience, and possibly the usurped right might return to its owner. This had to be done because there was no other remedy. If he had stayed on in Medina, it would have been necessary for him to agree with the rulers, and he would have to explain the existing situation and his own stand. If he had stayed on, he would have to confirm the actions of the government, and this was impossible for Bilal, because in his opinion these actions were unjust. He decided to go to Syria and got ready for the banishment come what might. Before deciding to leave Medina, Bilal had consulted the family of the Holy Prophet. When he got ready to depart, he first of all went to see and say farewell to Imam Ali. This meeting took place in a very disturbing atmosphere, and the Imam was much moved. Tears were rolling on the cheeks of Bilal like pearls, and perhaps he was saying, "If I had the option I would not at all have gone away from you in the tomb of the Holy Prophet. I hope that I shall return." Then he visited the tomb of the Holy Prophet in a state of extreme sadness and kept weeping for a long time. He said, "O honorable Prophet of Islam, you yourself are aware of how sad days we are passing in. What a strong blow has been struck on the body of your religion. O Prophet of Allah, I have in fact been compelled as a consequence of the ever-increasing pressure of the administration of the caliphate to go away from your city to Syria." At the time of dawn of that night Bilal departed from Medina and proceeded to Syria. At last, after surmounting various difficulties faced by him on the way between Medina and Damascus, Bilal completed the journey. When he came near Damascus he stopped for a moment and stared at the city with surprise and said to himself, "What a dull and sad city it is. It appears that death has cast its shadow everywhere. O Lord, how can I live here? I have been thinking that the journey has come to an end, and I can take rest for a while, but now I have become more tired and sad. O Lord, what should I do? I ought to put up with their condition and remain patient while I am away from my master Imam Ali. and his faithful companions. When I have borne all these inconveniences, how can I live here as I did in the past? Bilal proceeded to the gate of the city with a very heavy heart and located a place for himself after a good deal of wandering and searching. Bilal was pleased and satisfied because he had been able to withstand the oppression and strength of the powerful persons and to speak the truth. He thanked Allah and prided himself on his own existence, on seeing that his very being was dangerous for the rulers and they feared even his silence. Bilal resided in Damascus for some time. Though he himself was in Damascus, his soul was in Medina. He was continuously thinking about some solution of the problem. At last, he lost patience and decided to return to Medina so that he might see the family of the Prophet and his honorable Imam once again. He also thought the political condition of the government would not consider his return to be expedient, and it was possible that they might restrain him. However, as he had taken a decision, he said to himself, I shall perform this journey even though it may cost me my life. Bilal left Damascus with great courage and enthusiasm and special attachment to the Prophet's family. The path which seemed to be long at the time of his starting the journey was covered soon. He reached near Medina and saw the quiet spectacle of the city. He saw the walls of the Holy Prophet's mosque from a distance and recollected the sweet memories of the past. He sighed and tears began to flow from his eyes. After his arrival in the city, Bilal went immediately to the tomb of the Holy Prophet. The spies also saw Bilal and thought of arresting him. However, they did not consider it expedient to do so, but went to the authorities and reported the arrival of Bilal to them. The authorities were scared and worried on hearing this news. On the other hand, this news reached Lady Fatima az-Zahra, the beloved daughter of the Holy Prophet, and in the meantime, Bilal came to know that she was not in good health. The news distressed him, and he began humming by the side of the tomb of the Holy Prophet. O Prophet of Allah, after you the world has become dark and imamate has been converted into caliphate and people who are not fit for this position have usurped it. O Prophet of Allah, I have come to know that your daughter is not in good health. O Prophet of Allah, your successor Ali is staying at home. By means of his silence he is preserving the exaltation of Islam and the unity of the Muslims. O Prophet of Allah, I have just returned from my journey to Syria. I had been exiled there then due to acute disturbance of mind. Bilal fell on the ground and became unconscious. After the demise of the Holy Prophet, his only daughter Fatima, who dearly felt the separation of her beloved father, gradually became ill. And when she heard that Bilal had returned to Medina, she expressed the desire that he should say Adhan once again. Time for noon prayers approached. The muezzin of the Holy Prophet went on the roof of the mosque and began to say Adhan with his loud voice as he had been doing in the recent past. He said Allahu Akbar. On hearing the voice of Bilal, the first muezzin of the Holy Prophet, the people of Medina came out of their houses and proceeded to the mosque. All of them wondered as to how Bilal was saying Adhan again after the death of the Holy Prophet. A few moments later a larger number of people gathered in the mosque and Bilal continued to say Adhan. When Bilal pronounced takbir loudly and Lady Fatima heard it in her house, she was reminded of the glorious and sweet days of her father's time. She sighed and began to weep. Her children also joined her in weeping. When Bilal said Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, Lady Fatima wept more bitterly. However, when the Adhan reached the delicate stage, she lost her sense. Owing to intense grief, Bilal was, therefore, advised to stop saying Adhan at once, because the life of Lady Fatima az-Zahra was in danger.